Welcome, everyone, to the fourth annual Omer Aliyah, a 7-week spiritual boot camp of personal elevation, or simply known as TOA. My name is Nuriel Shor. Thank you for turning in to the Gevurah seminar of our 7-week empowerment series. TOA is a global grassroots movement for every Jew around the world to utilize the power of Sfirat Omer and to reveal our individual and national greatness. Inside each of us is a light waiting to be unleashed, and by systematically rectifying spiritual blockages with Hashem's help, we will not only transform into the greatest versions of ourselves, but will also generate blessing for the world. Iteruta del Tata, iteruta del Ela. Our actions below will cause actions on high. By embarking on this journey together, we travel in time from Pesach to Shavuot, forming a global collective consciousness of Ish Echad Belev Echad, one person with one heart, just like our people experienced over 3,300 years ago at the base of Har Sinai. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank our community partners and to thank and recognize our sponsors who are part of this grand vision. Suzanne Schweitzer, Fred and Susie Todchek, Josh Reef, and Charlene Venner, in memory of Nathan, Shirley, and Philip Venner, Zechron Levracha. For more information about being a sponsor, community partner, or TOA in general, please reach out at omeraliyah@gmail.com, and you can learn more at www.omeraliyah.com. We are currently in the week of Gevurah and have the pleasure of learning from Rabbi Menachem SILVERSTEIN. Menachem is an Orthodox Jewish writer, comedian, and ordained rabbi. He's written for TBS Digital, IFC Digital, and has been on Jimmy Kimmel Live, and is currently a regular at the Hollywood Laugh Factory. Menachem is also the rabbi of Shul On The Hill in Los Angeles. Before we begin, a couple housekeeping remarks. The seminar is being recorded and will be uploaded to the Omer Aliyah YouTube channel. I will then stop the recording, after which we will have an opportunity for open and confidential conversation with Menachem. May Hashem bless the Omer Aliyah and all who are involved, so that we may experience individual, national, and global geula speedily in our days. I now hand it over to Menachem.
Hey, Nuriel, thank you so much for putting this together. Thank you for having me. Thank you, everyone, for taking the time out of your day or night, depends if you're EST, PST, to be here. First off, I was blown away by the value of the video at the beginning. And also, Nuriel, I love your background. To me, I'm still traveling for Chag, so my background's a little bit plain. This is the nicest I could get. Normally, there'd be some sort of something behind me. So thank you guys so much for bearing with us. So I was taught that when you teach Torah, the first thing that you do is share a joke, you share a funny thought. It just, gets people in the mood. So there's once this person who was driving. He wanted to go to the gym. He was driving around and around. He can't find a parking spot. It's getting late. His class is about to start. He's going to miss it. It's really important to him. He decides, he's like, okay, he turns to God and he says, God, if you get me a parking spot, I will keep Shabbat every week. Still nothing. I will keep kosher every week. I will honor my parents. Starts going through all of these holy things he's going to do. If he finds a parking spot, miraculously, right in front of the gym, somebody backs out. He turns to God and says, never mind, I found one. And he goes into the spot. So let's try not to, as we're learning, be those people who miss out on the opportunities that come to them on a silver platter. Right now, what are we learning about? We're learning about the Omer. What is the Omer? The simple baseline of the Omer is we are counting down the days between Pesach and Shavuot, between the time we left Egypt, when our redemption started, to us receiving the Torah and finally fully becoming the Jewish people. And as we count down these days, each one signifies, and it has a little, as we count the number, it has one of this sephirot, which is an attribute. And what happens is the world is ran through attributes. Like we were talking about, we just got through Chesed, now we're going to Gevurah. The world runs on these different attributes that a person has, but also each of us individually have those attributes. And what you see as we count, even each attribute has a subversion of the other. There is Chesed and Gevurah, there's Gevurah and Chesed, etc. We're going to get to the details of that a little bit later. So right now, what are we learning about? We have just finished chesed, which is kindness. We had the 7 days of kindness. And we're now leading into Gevurah, which is strength. And Gevurah happened to have saved the world. How did Gevurah save the world? When God went and he created the world, what did he want to do? He wanted to create the world with chesed, with kindness. God came in as a very kind God, and he said, I want to be as kind as possible to my creations. And he goes and he builds the world mostly with chesed. What ends up happening is people start getting worse and worse and more corrupt. And what happens? God brings the great flood. The great flood is considered a version of Gevurah, and he takes the Gevurah of the flood, he washes the world clean, and then he starts a new world with a balance between Chesed and Gevurah. What does he do? He takes the Gevurah that might be overpowering, and he uses that to balance out the Chesed, because he knows as kind as he wants to be, you sometimes need to have an edge. Whoever of us has kids or has been around kids, you see this as a prime example with a kid. A kid might want cake every single day for dinner. And what do you have to do? Gevurah. You have to add that level of strength to say, you'll have dessert, you'll have cake for dessert 1 night a week, 2 nights a week. But you know, as the parent, that you have to stand up and be the Gevurah. So chesed, as beautiful and as amazing as that is, God comes in with the flood, with Gevurah, and he balances those out. So right now, what's happening? We are counting down to Shavuot. We're counting down the days. We're excitedly counting down the days. And one thing that's very interesting to me about counting, counting is something that you're excited for. What do we count for? As kids, we count to our birthday. You count down to something exciting. In 3 nights, I'm going to get my raise. And 4 nights is going to be my birthday. And 5 nights, I'm going to Six Flags. You count down when you're excited about something. And what are we supposed to do as Jews? There is belief and there is trust in God. We're all here. We've all showed up. We all believe in God. When we're counting down to the Omer, we finally get a taste of the deeper level, which is what? Trusting in God. By us counting down to something, what are we doing? We believe that there's something at the end of the road. We trust that God is going to have the prize after 49 days. We're counting because we finally are getting a taste of what separates us as people. There is belief. There's showing up to synagogue. There's putting your tefillin on. But then there's fully trusting in God. Trusting in God, whether it's easy, whether it's hard. And that's something that each and every one of us has to work on. And that's something that, for me, I see and I feel every day in the counting. We are counting down towards a beautiful thing that God is going to give us. And just a side example of something with trusting in God, I was teaching, this is a year ago already, I was teaching my community a sefer called Shar HaBitachon, which is the gate of trust. So again, what is this book? It's teaching us the difference between believing in God, which is seemingly a little bit of a simpler thing, and actually trusting in God. What does trusting in God mean? When you're having a good day, you say, wow, God gave me a good day. And when you're having a bad day, you know God will take care of you. For me, what happens is it's the end of the month, it's the end of August. I work as a freelancer, as Noriel kind of mentioned. I do comedy, I do some writing, I do some rabbiing. I don't know how much money I'm going to make every month. Every month is different. And I have a set amount of money that I like to make. And it just happened to be last August, I'm a few $1,000s short of what I want to make. And it's a little scary. I have 2 kids, I have a wife, I have an expense, thank God I have a kosher lifestyle, which is expensive. I have all of these expenses. And what happens? I'm about to teach a class on Shabbat Elchon, a class of trusting God. And I turn and I think for a second, I'm like, if I have to preach, I have to live what I preach. If I'm teaching about Shabbat Elchon, I have to feel it. So I say, you know what? It's the last day of the month. It's going to be good. God will take care. Whatever's meant to be, it'll be. I'll make it up next month. I go to a meeting. I get a call from my wife. She says that there's a check from SAG. SAG is when you act in anything, you get your money for acting. And then if the show airs more, you get a little bit more. My wife's like, oh, I got this in the mail. Do you mind if I open it? And I'm like, sure. And whatever money you get up front for acting. So I did a small show. I was in a scene in two scenes of my friend's show. I played a nightmare. He's a modern Orthodox detective, and he's having a nightmare, and I'm the nightmare, an Orthodox Jew. Whatever. Long story for another time. So I did this small thing. I get paid, and usually the residual check you get $20, $100, $500. It's never big and grand. My wife opens it, and it is the amount of money I was missing for that month. It was $4,000. And I don't believe it. I tell my wife, I'm like, no, 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 it can't be a check. It has to be something else. She sends me a photo. It says, this is a check. And I trusted. I didn't know it was coming. I didn't deserve it. I didn't work for it. It came. When Hashem wants to give you something, it comes. That's a way of coming. And that's one of the things that we're doing right now. We are counting because we know something's at the end. We're able to trick ourselves into having the trap because we're counting down. We're counting down, and we go and we have the bitachon that what? It's at the end of the road. There is a beautiful thing. And what is that beautiful thing? That beautiful thing is receiving the Torah. Now, on the flip side, there's another part of the counting of the days. On the counting of the days, I don't know if you guys know about the Sphera beard. My beard is like this all year round. But people stop shaving. They stop listening to music, going to live concerts. Even though this is a beautiful time where we're counting down to receiving the Torah, there's also another part of it. And another part of it is a time of mourning. What are we mourning? Rabbi Akiva, I might say one of the holiest tzaddikim ever. He had 24,000 students. Over 24,000 students died of a plague. Therefore, what happens? We all mourn together. We collectively mourn. And it's interesting because what happens? These 24,000 students, obviously, each one is a precious, precious soul. A lot of them, we don't even know their names. Some of the names we know, some of the names we don't know. But for these people, when they passed away, we all mourn together. There are other tzaddikim that, that pass away. We have the dates, and we don't mourn on the day that they pass away. But here, what happens is we go and we mourn. But in the middle of the Omer, in the middle of counting, there's a sub-holiday called Lag BaOmer, the 33rd Lag. What happened in Lag BaOmer? That is when Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai passes away. And when he passes away, all of a sudden we pause and we celebrate. You're allowed to shave your beard. We have bonfires. We have tons of music. So it's a very interesting thing. For these people, again, every soul is beautiful and counts, but these people that are more or less unnamed, we're collectively mourning. And then the big guy, the one we know, Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, the story, he was 40 years old when he started learning Torah. He sees, for those of you who don't know, he basically thinks he's too old to learn Torah. He sees water dripping on a rock, and he sees that over time, the water is able to break the rock. And if the water can break the rock, the water of Torah can break into his head, and he can learn, and he goes and he becomes a super holy tzaddik. But for him, we celebrate. In order to understand this, let's briefly take a minute to run through the history of what happened. So we have Rabbi Akiva, and Rabbi Akiva is in Israel, and the Romans come and they besiege Israel, and they take over. They're the occupying power. But what happens is Rabbi Akiva wants to be able to continue learning Torah. So he goes over to a general. I just forgot his name. He goes over to a general at the time to try to plead his case to open a yeshiva. And when he goes to speak to the general, he says, "Your Majesty." And the general freaks out. It's blasphemy. You can't call a general Your Majesty. The general can get in trouble. He's not the king. The general goes and he's about to reprimand Rabbi Akiva. And all of a sudden, a bird with a note flies in. Turns out the king had died, and this general was made king. And now the general is king. He sees, wow, this holy rabbi calls me king, and I become king. What do you want, Rabbi? And the rabbi asks to open a yeshiva. And he says, go for it. And what happens is, in the north, Rabbi Akiva opens a yeshiva. And he opens a very successful yeshiva. He opens a yeshiva with over 24,000 students. The Jewish people get spiritually strong. The Jewish people get physically strong. And a rebellion starts. And at the same time, a plague breaks out. And what happens is the 24,000 students start dying. And the Jewish people who felt they were close to their redemption, they were planning on going and hopefully bringing Mashiach to reconquer the land of Israel, all of their dreams are lost. What happens here? Because all of the Jewish people collectively are going through this pain where they thought that they were going to reconquer Israel, they were going to reconquer Eretz Yisrael, the pain hurts even more because the pain is felt collectively. We all thought that we had this redemption. And as a unit, we all feel it. And what was the cause of these students to die? It says that they had a problem with v'ahavta l'reacha kamocha, with being respectful to one another. And it's an interesting thing. It's an interesting thought. How can these holy students, 24,000 students under Rabbi Akiva, they had a problem, they're mean to each other? The Chabad Rebbe comes and he explains what was going on. So what happened? All of these students were led by Gevurah. They were led through strength. Sometimes strength is good, and sometimes strength is too much. And what do they read? V'ahavta l'reacha kamocha. Love thy neighbor like you love yourself. Now there's a problem. What if your neighbor doesn't agree with you? What if you don't agree with your neighbor? I can't love you if you're not like me. I need to try to make you like me. I need to convince you. We are different. And what happens is by them trying to connect to one another, they separated themselves from one another. And this rift and this lack of true v'ahavta l'reacha kamocha ends up causing this plague, this virus to spread, and they die out. When this is happening, Rabbi Akiva goes south and he finds 5 more students. And one of these students is Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. And what happens with Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, which is very interesting. So he was teaching Torah. And what happened was somebody ratted him out to the Roman government. He goes and he has to hide in a cave with his son for 12 years. And for 12 years, they're eating carobs, they're stuck in a cave, and they're learning about the deep, deep essence of Torah. And what happens after 12 years, he goes out and he sees Jews working the field, and he's so perplexed. These Jews who have an opportunity to sit and learn Torah the entire day are wasting their time plowing. It says everything that he saw started burning up. It started burning, going on fire. God comes and is like, no, 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 no. I did not bring you here to destroy my world. Go back. He goes and he spends another year in the cave. And when he comes back out, what does he see? He sees a Jew holding 2, they were like flowers, but it's 2 like reeds. And he asks, what are you doing? And I'm bringing it home for Shabbos. Rabbi Akiva sees the beauty in what this person's doing, taking time away to go and connect with his wife, to go and, make Shabbos better. And he says, wow, this is beautiful. What does he do? He wasn't just looking at the person. He was looking at the person's soul. And what was Rabbi Akiva doing? Or what was Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai doing? He was bringing back the chesed to curb the Gevurah. When the students, when they were looking at v'ahavta l'reacha kamocha through only the lens of Gevurah, what happened? They couldn't relate to each other because I can only love you if you're like me. I need to make you like me. I need to fix you and cut you and straighten you and make you fit into the puzzle, whether it fits or not. What did Rav Shimon Bar Yochai do? He comes in and he says, no, we have to have the chesed. We have to look past that. Because what is that? That's external. You being a Republican, a Democrat, whatever, any of these things, they're all external things. And what do we focus on? The chesed is being able to look past that, past the shtus, and see the person as a soul and be able to connect to them. And what happens? That's a day of celebration. Because what are we trying to do? What are we trying to do for the 49 days? We are trying to grow. Because what happens? Bu'as happens every year, whether we'd like it or not. What are we really counting to? What are we counting to? We know it's there. We know the prize is there. We know the day is there. What's the point? The point is we have an opportunity to receive the Torah all over again. We have the opportunity to be on Har Sinai, be on that mountain, climb the mountain, and get the Torah. And how do we do that? We do that by growing. And how do we grow? By learning these attributes and how they connect to one each other and how they balance each other out. Because just like by the flood, what happened? God started off with only kindness, and only kindness didn't work. We needed to curb it with a little Gevurah. We see that Gevurah wasn't enough with these 24,000 students. Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai comes and he curbs it with chesed. How do we properly do b'ahavta l'reacha kamocha? We don't look at the person for what they say and how they act. We look at the person as another Jew. We connect to them on a deeper level. We love them on a deeper level. And that's how we climb to get the Torah and to receive the Torah. It's about learning about all these things, learning about chesed, and each other thing that goes in chesed, each one of the other sub things. We go and we learned about the sphere of Gevurah and all of its subsects, and we continue and we continue and we continue to have all of them help align us to be the people that we can when we receive the Torah. Because what gets us to receiving the Torah? Us being all connected. Because what does it say if you look at the lashon, you look at the wording, when it says the Jews were around the mountain to receive the Torah? It doesn't say it plural or multiple, even though there were a lot of us there. It says it's singular. Person stood at the mountain. Because what did we do at the mountain? At the mountain, we were one. At the mountain, there wasn't Nuriel and Menachem and Paul and Batsheva, all the other names here. It was one person. We were together and we were united. And sometimes we're united for a good thing, for a beautiful thing, receiving the Torah. And unfortunately, sometimes what gets us to unite is the tragedy. 24,000 students died. We might not know all of their names, but we feel the pain. We're all family. We all feel their souls missing. And that's why when we're remembering those souls, we don't shave and we don't listen to music, even though we don't know their names. What does Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai come to teach us? He teaches us that what is this pain going to do? We're going to use it to unite. We've all unfortunately had pain. We are in Gullus, we had pain. A year ago, we had more pain than we ever thought we'd have and we ever thought we needed. There are still hostages in Gaza, unfortunately. They should be released right away. But we all have that pain. We're all united in that pain. What we have to know is what's the next step. The next step is that Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. Add to chesed. To look deeper, to connect deeper. And again, that's what we're doing right now. What are we doing in Sphira? We are climbing that mountain together. We have 49 days to get to us as one. Some of us might need a little more chesed sometimes. Some of us might need a little bit more Gevurah. We might need other of the attributes. But that's what we're here doing. We're here going through each one, and I bless all of us as we climb and as we go and as we learn. We add a little bit, we take away a little bit, and we find that perfect balance that will make us united and bring us together. That when we get to this beautiful ending that we all believe in and we all trust in, that this year we won't only be ready and able to receive the Torah, we'll be ready and able to receive Mashiach.
Amen. Thank you so much, Menachem, for shedding light on this midah of Gevurah, especially in relationship with Chesed via this time of Sfirat Omer, as we relate to Rabbi Akiva, Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, what happened to the students. It's a very important lens to Sfirat Omer that is a part of the overall narrative. So thank you so much for shedding light on that. Before I stop the recording, I do have one question for you to kind of share with all of us here and those who are watching, which is that if you could recommend one specific action step wielding Gvura for the purposes of developing ourselves into the holy beings that we were destined to be. What's something simple, something basic, something tangible that we can say, that is an effective use of Gvura that'll help me and help the life that I live?
A very good question and a very good point. To me, I think that the Gevurah is to me the actionable step. As it is beautiful, it's in theory, and the Gevurah is actually doing something. So I think that is, I think the most important thing that, at least for me, that we could learn from Gevurah is taking that actionable step. That actionable step might be, you know, trying to pray a little harder, trying to learn a little bit every day. There are so many different actionable steps that you could take towards being the best self that you can. And to each and every one of us, that's a little bit of a distinct journey. But I think that what we should do and learn from Gevurah is look at the person you want to become, and take one actionable step towards that. Have that strength to actually do it, not talk about it, not theoretical, not signing up to the gym, going to the gym, actually showing up.
Thank you. Okay, so that concludes our Gvura seminar. Thank you all so much for again being here live, those who are watching. Next week we will dive into Tiferet and continue this beautiful, unbelievable journey of Sfirat Omer. Again, thank you, Menachem, so much for carving out this time and shedding light on this midah. And we will pick it up again next week. Thank you all so much.